What happens when a world-class nutritionist uses blood panels, cellular biology, and fact-based science to create and monitor healthy eating plans with supplements for her clients? Everyone wins. Welcome to Power on Your Plate with Haylie Pomroy, an educational experience that gives you both the actionable and practical tools you can use every day to get your health, weight, and life back on track.
Hey guys, it's Haylie again. You're a nutritionist, you're a wellness consultant, and we're going to keep doing these recordings as long as there is important information that's out there and proactive things that we can do. Just about every day I've been having a conversation with a dear friend of mine, Mike, who you all know by now. Hi, Mike.
Hey guys. Hey, Haylie. Thanks for having me again.
Absolutely. You know, the conversation is a good one, and it's one that we need to keep having, which is how can we, during this time, support our bodies? How can we support our community? What kinds of things, what kinds of information is being put out there that we can maybe distill down a little bit and turn it into some proactive steps so that we can get through this together and thrive in this kind of an environment. And that's really, really a struggle right now. So, Mike, you had some amazing questions for me this morning, and I said, if you have time, please jump on with me again and ask these questions, because your questions, I know there's so many other people out there that would love to, that maybe have the same exact question, but also would love the proactive steps that you and I have kind of been talking about. So I'm yours. Ask me anything. Awesome. What's on your mind today with all this that's going on?
Okay, thanks. Super grateful. I know everybody else is grateful too. So thank you so much for taking the time. Thanks for answering my text messages.
Of course.
Seriously. Okay. So obviously in the last 24 hours, it's, at least now at the time of this recording, there has been a lot of different speculation. The French health minister made that tweet regarding ibuprofen. And then later in that day, of course, my daughter comes out of her room with her supplements that she's got in one of the bottles that she also has for, when she's on her cycle, she takes ibuprofen. When I saw that bottle, my heart sank, because even the possibility of this being a contributing factor to, COVID-19 effects being worsened made my heart sink a little bit. And I thought, you know what? I can't feed into that fear. I need to know facts. Mm-hmm. So that's when I text you and I'm like, all right. And then, of course, later the European Medicines Agency said, there's no scientific evidence for that. And the French health minister should have never said that. And other people are saying that he shouldn't have said that. But at the same time, I think we have a responsibility to really look at each of these concerns with a scientific mind and then make our, hopefully make a well-educated decision. So first of all, why do you think the French health minister made that tweet? What do you think what direction do you think he might be going?
Right. I can only, hypothesize about where they were coming from. And the thing that we do know is that all of us want to have a strong immune response right now, but we want to have a strong immune response to appropriate things. So, for example, viruses, bacteria, parasitic stress. We want to have an appropriate immune response when there's something that we're exposed to that can cause harm into our bodies. One of the things that's happening with chronic disease and chronic issues in our body, whether we're talking about cardiovascular disease, autoimmune, neurological disease, arthritis, when we see chronic inflammation, our body seems to dysregulate some of our immune response. And some of the NSAIDs, specifically ibuprofen, and the mechanism in which it works is it does reduce some of the receptivity of inflammation to get to the site, some of the nerve sites where we have pain recognition, but it doesn't seem to create a positive balance in how we regulate our immune response as it correlates with inflammation. So I'm going to distill that down just for a second. Sorry.
Please.
Our immune system is dependent on having a healthy inflammatory response. Actually, our inflammatory response in the body is our first line of defense, if you will, slams the doors and windows shut so that something that's pathogenic in nature, like this virus or a parasitic or something from a bacterial perspective, slams the doors and windows shut so that it does not have the capacity to get in. So we need to have that first immune response, and it's pro-inflammatory related. When we have chronic inflammation, our body becomes dull or muted in its first line of an immune response. What they're finding is when you take some of the anti-inflammatories, and a lot of studies have been done specifically on ibuprofen, it seems to disrupt some of the mechanisms that allow our bodies to have, one, a very quick first line of response and a sustained, healthy line of response when it comes to inflammation. Now, one of the reasons why people get relief from these medications is because they do disrupt that pathway when you're having chronic inflammation. So my suggestion is to go at the root of inflammation, whether it's from a food, nutrient perspective, an herbal perspective, go at the root of inflammation and reduce that chronic inflammation so that our bodies can have a very strong and healthy response. Even if it's an acute injury right now, be diligent about icing. Anything that can give your body and nurture your body and give your body support is really important.
So basically, I'm going to summarize. Yeah, it really helps a lot. I'm going to summarize it in different words. So if I slam my finger in the door, all of a sudden my finger is going to swell up. That's the body protecting the rest of my body from, potentially blood loss as other things of that nature. I would normally take something. However, in this current environment, if the possibility exists that taking ibuprofen, which might be, let's say that's my go-to because I have a problem with my liver and acetaminophen is not possible like it is for my wife. It's not possible for her.
Right.
So we have ample supplies of ibuprofen. Normally, she would go right to that ibuprofen. But in this environment, what I'm hearing you say is if you were to do that, there is the possibility. And again, you're not trying to give medical advice here, but you're just giving your own distillation. Like there's the possibility that ibuprofen could end up causing that muted response. And you want that full-blown response. You want the full inflammatory response. That first line of defense, I think you said. Does that sound right?
Right. So the very mechanism that would take you out of pain is the same mechanism that would alert your body to increase the immune response to any kind of viral invasion. So we don't want that muted right now. So there are natural things that you can do like boswellia, like quercetin, the bioflavonoids. Those are really good. The pith of grapefruit, icing, all of those natural types of therapies that nurture the metabolic pathway back to stability. And that's what we're looking at. We've got to have stability in our body right now so that we can be adaptive. We can respond when we're stressed. We can respond when we're exposed. It looks like a lot of us are going to have exposure. The goal here is to have just this robust, positive response within our body because remember, all of those responses are micronutrient dependent. When we talk about swelling, it's a nutrient-dependent action in the body. When we talk about reduction of swelling, that's a nutrient-dependent action in the body. So I know I'm always saying, my kitchen's my pharmacy. I want you in the kitchen. I want you cooking foods. I want you using the grocery list, the shopping list that I've provided for you on the landing page. And then if you are taking natural therapies, I want you to look at the ingredients of the ones that we recommend and make sure that you're getting those kinds of really clean, really natural phytonutrients that can help nurture your body's adaptability right now.
It's wonderful. Thank you. Some of those things that you mentioned, I am unfamiliar with. So where would someone get, and you might mention them rather quickly, I apologize. Where would someone find, your bioflavonoids and some of those other items that you mentioned? And is there specific foods that would be helpful in anti-inflammatory process?
Yes, for sure. I've provided that food list and it's got, like I said, the pith of a grapefruit, lemons, limes, all of your citruses would be very important right now. All of the adaptogenic, if you can tolerate nuts and seeds, those are very good from an adaptogenic healthy fats. One of the reasons why I've talked a lot about, and I told you we were talking this morning about my dad, and I know we were talking about your daughter, and we were talking about your wife, and we're talking about my husband. Right now, our family, I was always for a long time the person in our family having an autoimmune disorder that we would consider me kind of immune compromised. And then as my community knows, my husband got a brain infection. We've been going through that for it's been almost 2 years now, and thank God he's doing really, really good. And then my dad with being diabetic and what they call a brittle diabetic, right away, I was very concerned about both of them having chronic inflammatory issues. And so the metabolism-free radicals is the one that I've been talking to everybody about a lot. It has an extract from what they call white willow bark. And that's actually the compound that they reduced down to create aspirin. Now, aspirin itself it's almost like a Xerox copy of this herb now. They've gone and created in a synthetic form. But the mechanism, when they studied white willow bark and they looked at how it could support vasodilation and inflammation in the immune system, that's what's a really important piece in the free radicals. And then actually the metabolism histamine has all of the bioflavonoids in it. A lot of our community use it for things like food allergies, inhalant allergies, bee stings. We use the great one that we all have kind of in our camping kit and our first aid kit. But one thing during this time is that histamine response in our bodies allows permeability, or allows things to permeate. That mucosal lining that we have in our lungs and our nose and our throat allows things to permeate that normally would pass through the body. So the bioflavonoids are in that, and the natural inflammatory balancing micronutrients are in the free radicals. So we're using a lot of that in our family. My husband has been on those again since when he was, and on my whole community, I talk really openly, Mike, and I know everything that we've kind of gone through. Yeah, when Vaughn got an infection and it was affecting the brain, there was so much inflammation and swelling. And so we really doubled down on that at that time, because it was, infectious based, it was inflammatory based with the encephalopathy, and it was really profound, kind of what we saw. And so, just kind of wanting to share some of that clinical experience that I've had and some of what we're seeing with our families, with our clients. And I just thought it was a great question. I personally try to do everything outside of taking what they would call synthetic anti-inflammatory. I'm really pro balancing inflammation through nutrition, lifestyle modification. And I understand the concern with the liver. I understand the concern with the stomach and the kidney with ibuprofen. There's all of those risk factors really and I'm not trying to make those not as have as much gravitas as they have. I know that like with acetaminophen in the liver, that can be, critical to be careful for that. But where my perspective came from is the true reason to have that as a last line of defense is because it doesn't help get the natural and anti-inflammatory and inflammatory hormones in balance. And that's where the immune system is the most profound. When you can strike that balance, that's when you become more resilient and healthier. And that's what we're always striving for with our community.
I'm so grateful for you.
I appreciate you asking me these questions. I really, really have been struggling with how can I help and what can I do? And you've been just a tremendous catalyst for our community, and I really appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you so much. So I want to repeat what you said, because that's how I learn things, is I always repeat them verbally for myself. Mm-hmm. Basically, the food list. I'm going to come back to that because that's my preference. My preference is no drugs, always food. That's our mantra. Too. Yeah. Okay, great. Well, that's the reason why we get along so well. So go to your website, HayliePomroy.com. Check out the food list. If nothing else, just do the food list. That in and of itself, if you can still get those good foods, hopefully always organic, as we talked about before. But then if you can also add in the free radicals and the histamine as a supplement, or replay this recording and write down some of the other ingredients if you want to purchase them for yourself from quality sources. That's an important part. This is the reason why I take your supplements, Haylie, is because I know you always focus on quality sources, and I don't want this to be about supplements, but at the same time, if you're going to be supplementing your diet, please make sure that you trust and believe in the person who created those supplements. And if you don't know who it is, do your diligence, because there's no time like today as a go time. So that was
It was really cute because absolutely. It was really cute because last night we're all kind of self-quarantining here, and my son's girlfriend's been with us because she got stuck here in California, and she was just talking about kind of coming into our family, and just really, she said, no, you guys, we're probably our biggest consumer of our own product, which, I've always said to you, I didn't intend on this. I found myself in the natural health world really coming up against some really disturbing stuff in bottles in the name of supplements. And I knew for myself, like you, I'm very conservative from a pharmacological perspective. I did the prednisone. I did the anti-rejection drugs. I know what it feels like, a body feels like to be on 60 milligrams of prednisone. I lost, part of my right kidney function because of it. But I needed to create things and source things that I felt confident in making an actual change in my own body. So that's where this all came from. I feel my heart is, we're sold out of the probiotics. It just, like, I'm getting I can't even hardly get that out of my mouth. I'm so sorry. Yeah. We're doing everything we can do. We are one of those unique companies from a probiotic perspective where we utilize a technique, and it's very hard to get it, and it's very hard to source it, a technique where each one's blister sealed. We're looking for the strains that'll re-inoculate. There are a lot of great strains out there that are what they call for transient benefit, which means as long as they're in the system, they provide that immune support, but they don't have the re-inoculation. I've always been really kind of hardcore on that, but in times of viruses, and again, our family, I feel like I'm not trying to woe is me, but we've been through a lot from a health perspective. And so I'm always thinking of that person out there that needs it, that client out there that needs it, and quite frankly, my family that needs it. So we're working really hard to get those back in. I'm so sorry, you guys. We're working hard to get those in. But in the meantime, we have a lot of prebiotic recipes on the website. Take your free radicals. Yeah, do your shake.
Take those 3. So, hey, I want to say thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, you are a mommy, and you're the mommy to us all, because you're making sure that your family is taken care of first, and we just basically all get the benefit of taking the stuff that you've created for yourself and your family. So again, thank you so much for the time today. I really, really, really appreciate it. Thanks for the explanation, and thanks for making it not too scientific for me. Thank you.
Anytime, Mike. We appreciate it. Right, guys? We appreciate you. Talk to you soon, Mike.
Okay, thank you. Talk to you later. Bye.
Thank you for listening to another inspiring episode of Power on Your Plate with Haylie Pomroy. Please remember to share the amazing science and tools with someone you love. The more we know, the more we all lift our global health together. Visit www.hayliepomroy.com to get notes from today's show and to take your education and health to a new level of success and happiness.
Information on this podcast is provided for informational purposes only and is not intended as a substitute for the advice provided by your physician or other healthcare professional, or any information contained on or in any product label or packaging. You should not use the information on this podcast for diagnosing or treating a health problem or disease, or prescribing any medication or other treatment. You should always speak with your physician or other healthcare professional before taking any medication or nutritional, herbal, or homeopathic supplement, or adopting any treatment for a health problem. If you have or suspect that you have a medical problem, promptly contact your healthcare provider. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking professional advice because of something you've heard on this podcast. Information provided on this podcast and the use of any products or services purchased as a result of this podcast does not create any type of professional relationship between you and any of the associates affiliated with this podcast. Information and statement regarding dietary supplements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.